Hello, America. This is Carl for Today in Tokyo. As I sat down to decide to make this video, I realized that I might call it The Problem with America, but I realized also that I made a video by that title before I left America to come to Japan. And nothing's changed. Only the conditions have changed, but the problems remain the same. And the conditions just keep adding up. It's not that the previous conditions were improved. So in my original video, I can just imagine, without even checking it, though it was over 3 years ago, I said that America didn't have a basic philosophy. And I said we needed to ban private campaign finance. And those are still the two main problems. First, I'll address the first one. America doesn't have a basic philosophy. What I mean by that is, and as I probably said in previous videos, America has a de facto philosophy, but really all it has is laws. Now, part of this is a benefit. The fact that we are a country of laws and not a country of blood is why we're not supposed to be an ethnophobic or xenophobic country, but we still are. And that's because we don't have a basic philosophy to bind those laws. Being a country of laws means that we can attempt to treat all people equally, and that's what the founders attempted to do, even though there was the 3/5 clause. You see, the founders were Enlightenment thinkers. They weren't the rednecks who people think they were, right? And it is the rednecks that I'm addressing right now. Actually, I don't like to use any labels whatsoever, so I'm just going to say Americans. Forgive me, rednecks. There is a group of people in America today who can't be guardrailed into being good without a philosophy. See, I don't need America to have a philosophy, and most good Americans don't need America to have a philosophy. We can derive the philosophy from the laws. It's common sense. But the problem is we have a lot of poorly educated Americans, and by educated I mean they haven't been cultivated. Their minds haven't been cultivated or given the right facts such that they arrive at a higher compassion, which is really just a soft word for higher intelligence. People who really have higher intelligence are automatically compassionate. It's just a result of being highly intelligent. Okay, it's not a separate thing. You have to have high intelligence to be compassionate. And by high intelligence, I'm not lauding people or myself with platitudes. I'm not saying that I'm a genius. What I'm saying is the higher intelligent animals, such as we are automatically compassionate because it makes sense to be compassionate as an aspect of intelligence. It behooves you to be compassionate or intelligent so that you don't bring suffering upon yourself by the way you live. So what would a comprehensive philosophy in America do? Well, it would make Americans act more like the more benevolent side of Asian cultures. Now, Asian cultures are imploding all the time with how strict they are, and that's why, for example, Korea and Japan, two of the most peaceful cultures in the world, not as peaceful as the Scandinavian countries, but quite peaceful at that, have the highest suicide rates. They're too strict, but they have philosophies that bind the people together in an equanimous brotherhood-type fashion. That's why I never see people arguing in Japan. Ever. I've been here 3 years, I haven't seen one argument. And it goes without saying that if the people don't argue, they're also not fist-fighting, and they're not going to pull a weapon. Okay? They also don't have many weapons. That's another smart thing, right? A society which has decided to dump trillions into its military and its police force probably doesn't need weapons on every man, woman, and child, right? So we have laws, but we don't have a philosophy which makes everybody feel bound as brothers, as you will see if you live in Korea or you live in Japan. Now, I know that they're basically monocultures, but even with the foreigners who come here, there's almost no crime whatsoever. So they're not really a full monoculture, although they are mostly monocultures, and that makes it easier. So we don't have a main philosophy. We just have platitudes, right? And we have religions and the First Amendment, which is correct in allowing people to believe what they want or providing that people should be able to believe what they want. But that same problem comes with a responsibility that people won't go off on a tangent and believe harebrained things. So the second problem is campaign finance. As long as you have a political system predicated on money, whether or not you want to call it bribery, you're going to have people swayed by money. And so you can't have people who are focused 100% on virtue or providing for the common good. It's common sense. It doesn't matter how much you want to murky the waters with talk about it's free speech to be able to give money. The fact of the matter is, once you enter money into anything, it becomes corrupt. So if we had a national philosophy which was inculcated into people from childhood, that they're not really American unless they love their brothers and sisters, right? Which would work against the whole prejudicial thing which comes out of religions, like my chosen people and your chosen people and that chosen people. All of that would go away if it was superseded by a religion of philosophy, a philosophy which says that we have to be reasonable, rational, and love our brothers as Americans. And we wouldn't have corruption in politics if we had publicly funded campaign finance, because it would really narrow who would want to be involved in politics, right? You'd only have a few corrupt people trying to get in there, and it would be real easy to see who they are, because you wouldn't be able to give a penny of money to any PAC or any politician. It would all be paid for by taxes, like the space program, like the municipal budget, like the police force, like the military, like the national health care that we decrepitly have. Okay, we pay for all those things, right? We pay for NASA out of our taxes. Why don't we pay for elections? Because we want to keep them corrupt. Now, the other problem is, due to those faults in our construction, we have people in our country who are seditionists. I'm not going to name them. This is something I suggest that all people do. They stop naming political parties, because that just immediately draws lines between people. It's as stupid as the fake word and fake science of race, right? As soon as you mention it, you've drawn up sides. Remember when you were in elementary school and the coach picked two captains and the captains picked teams? As soon as you open your mouth and you say Republican or Democrat or Independent or Liberal or Conservative, you draw up sides, and you've alienated half the people who could be rallied to your cause. So what I recommend is that people just say there are some people, such as I'm doing now, there are some people who voted against the nationally recognized, officially codified, fair election. There are some people who inspired an insurrection, and it happened on January 6th. And there are some people who are voting not to investigate that. It doesn't matter what party they're from. And the other good thing about not mentioning a party is, when people first hear what you have to say, activist, citizen, or newscaster, they will identify with the right and wrong of it before they identify with a party. And then they'll catch themselves up by saying, oh, I originally thought that was wrong, but oh, I know who that is. He's on my team, so now I'm going to pretend that it's okay. And they will be aware of this fault and this hypocrisy in their thinking. So I'm saying this to everybody at MSNBC. I'm saying it to everybody at Fox. I'm saying it to people at the New York Times. Okay? I'm saying it to Rachel Maddow. I'm saying it to Morning Joe. I'm saying it to Scarborough. I'm saying it to Cuomo. I'm saying it to Sam Harris. I'm saying it to Joe Rogan. I'm saying it to Lex Fridman. I'm saying it to Alan Alda. Stop naming the parties. When you want to call out somebody who's doing something wrong, use the name, or just say some people. They know who they are. You can even call out the states, but don't say Democrat, don't say Republican, don't say conservative, don't say liberal, don't say independent, don't say lefty, don't say, just say some people. Because, I mean, that's the case, isn't it? When you name them, right, you give them a sense of self-righteousness, or you point a finger at them instead of blaming the act. Okay? Blame the act. Let the person blame him or herself. Let the party blame themselves or itself. So that's it, folks, right? In addition to my other ideas, which I've expressed in other videos, wherein I said that we should stop using the erroneous and false word race, because we're all the same race, technically, actually, scientifically, really, right? We're all the same genus, species, and subspecies. There haven't been two races on the planet since Cro-Magnon man and Neanderthal. If you stop saying black and you stop saying white, as Morgan Freeman suggested too, and you stop saying race, right? If you just talk about groups of people, but don't name them. That's my next rule. Don't name them, right? Right now, America has a problem because some people want a different country. There's a minority in America that isn't happy with the Constitution. They pretend to love the Constitution, they pretend to love the flag, but they don't like it as what it really stands for. They're not in line with Jefferson, Franklin, Washington, Lincoln, Hamilton. They're not, right? They want to divide the country and make a new one. And that's why they're into gerrymandering. That's why they're into voter suppression. That's why they were into the insurrection. And by the way, everyone in Congress, anyone in the legislature who voted against officiating after the election, who won, and anyone who voted against the nationally recognized fair election, anyone who inspired the insurrection, these people should be ejected from government. In my opinion, they should be banished from the country for a time, with provisions, on an island somewhere, and then offered repatriation if they can prove that they're not going to come back and foment revolution, not legitimate revolution, right? Because even Jefferson said from time to time revolution was necessary, but these people want revolution to overthrow democracy. They want their minority and their religion and their way of life to outrun that which is advocated by the majority of Americans, right? So these people should be banished from the country or put in jail. They should never be able to hold office again, even if they're allowed to be citizens again. Okay, see, and this comes back to the national philosophy. If you're an American, you believe above and beyond anything else, you believe in equality, egalitarianism, law, the Constitution. You believe in fairness, and you believe in a multicultural democratic republic. If we inculcated that into young people, instead of over-celebrating differences, which I understand comes from a good place, but which has a very evil underbelly, which is what results in what we have today. People just so proud of what they accidentally are by birth, that we don't have a country which is unified, like the Scandinavian countries, like Korea, like Japan, even like evil China. Okay? These people are raised from childhood to be brothers and sisters with one another. That's part of who they are. Not in America. In America, it's, I'm who I am, and I hail from this group, and I'm American, and I hail from this group. And that's nice in theory, but it hasn't been working. National philosophy, publicly funded elections, stop using dumb words like race and party names. And you'll start to heal America, because the healing of America starts with this, the brain and language, which controls the brain. The solutions are not in marching in the street and yelling and screaming and rioting. All of this just surrenders your volition and says somebody else is higher than you. Good luck and goodness bless America.